Hi, and welcome back to my channel. And right, some more on the government, the immigration, and some new information just introduced to me now. So, right, government pushes on with tough stance on migration with new rule changes before the coming months ahead. So, senior sources say there are real worries about the impacts of the UK reforms that they will have on Ireland, basically. Plans to tighten Ireland's migration rules are due to go to Cabinet in the next few days. The measures, which have been well flagged by governments, seeks to reduce the number of people coming to Ireland through the asylum process. However, moves off afoot to target other areas of migration also. The proposals are obviously approved today, in the next couple of days also, to seek the amount of time an international protection application must be resident in Ireland before seeking naturalisation from 3 years to 5 years, and to increase the cost of doing so also. Plus, other reforms already in the works include making asylum seekers who are working contribute financially up to 40% of their income towards their accommodation, offering payments to asylum seekers to drop their claims and leave the state because of the overwhelming amount of asylum seekers coming into the country now. And the Taoiseach has also confirmed that certain types of welfare payments paid to people seeking Irish citizenship will be taken into consideration as part of the application process. However, all these proposals come on the back of debates about migration and comments made by government leaders, such as Taoiseach Simon Harris, that the numbers arriving into Ireland are far too high, which a number of the Irish are well aware of anyway. Last year, when the European Migration Pact was being voted on, Harris denied that Ireland is full of, telling the Irish people basically that it isn't fair at all. With the migration, apparently is a good thing. We need people to come to Ireland. We need them to do it illegally. Okay, fast forward 18 months or so, and Harris, as well as others in government, have said that the government migration figures outside of asylum applications are too much on the increase, basically. Opposition parties have slammed Harris in recent weeks for his comments, stating that his language failed to explain the complexities around immigration, conflating the different groups coming to the country either for work or asylum, while also failing to state that the numbers seeking asylum in Ireland have fallen this year in comparison to last year. They're seriously not telling us what we really want to hear. International protection numbers. In 2020 and 21, during the pandemic, the numbers were small at 1,500 and 2,600, but then in 22 and 23, we had 13,500 people apply for international protection for each of those years. However, last year, 18,500 people applied, but the numbers have reduced this year, falling by around 40%. Now, accusations of who is being more populist have been bandied around, with Harris being accused of being a populist for his comments, with the Taoiseach also accusing the opposition parties of political populism by asserting that Ireland can go it alone when it comes to migration. Yesterday and the last few days beforehand, the opposition told the media that they are not trying to shut down the debate around migration or the system itself, but something that Harris has asserted in the past, he's trying to implement and bring into today's social media. Democrats TD Gannon said that they want a debate on the whole system and where it's rooted in with the facts. He said a number of new changes are quite significant, and he believes that there's cruelty inbuilt to some aspects of it. On the immigration reforms being brought to Cabinet by the Justice Minister, TD Gary Gannon says there is cruelty inbuilt in them, so it says it could not be further from the truth that the opposition don't want to debate these issues, plus is calling for one in the coming days. How's that giving the Irish people the information that they really want to hear? Former Integration Minister Roderick O'Gorman was also very critical of the new proposals, stating that there are actually anti-integration measures. He said Ireland shouldn't blindly follow the UK's lead. I wouldn't either. Opposition parties have also accused the government of being irresponsible, as well as pathetic, in their use of language around migration, particularly in light of recent protests and violent incidents, stating that there is a risk that government moves will only bolster the far right. Yeah, right. Nevertheless, the debate around migration has definitely shifted in the space of a few years, with government wanting to appear to be taking a much tougher stance on the issue, when really they're not doing jack shite about it. EU Migration Pact and UK changes, as well as the Republic of Ireland here. Government sources say there are two big reasons for a change in tactics. One being their obligations under the new EU Migration Pact and laws and company policies and rules and regulations which Ireland has signed up to, as well as the reforms the UK are making to their migration rules. The EU Migration and Asylum System Pact seeks to create uniform rules around the identification and speeding up of decisions on asylum claims of people who arrive from outside the EU, and to develop a common database about new arrivals to Europe. Now, just this week and coming weeks ahead, the European Commissioner for Migration, Magnus Brunner, was over in Ireland to assess our preparations and compliance with how the country's run. He also told reporters that Ireland is a front runner in terms of our preparation to adopt the EU Migration and Asylum Pact, and that City West International Protection Centre is an example of best practice comments those in independent Ireland, and basically some disagree with the senior source of the whole system and the journey through the whole pact of it. The journal there saying it's a significant worry around the migration changes being rolled out in the UK and the impacts they will have in Ireland. So nobody wants the UK to implement what's going on over here. Taoiseach Michael Martin has said there could be a knock-on effect and consequences from what others do. That's a reality. And former Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, in his last comment of last weekend, just the other day, said Ireland simply has no choice but to align its rules with those of the UK, which already don't get why follow another country's policy. Otherwise, we will see significant secondary movements from there to here. Sources state that the flow of migrants through Northern Ireland is something of concern and is not a problem that government cannot easily solve. However, in order to adhere to the Migration Pact, the government is currently working on a new international protection bill to reform Ireland's asylum system. This will be published later this year. However, it is not just the international protection system that is being reformed, with changes to work permit structures also under scrutiny by government, as well as the student visa system. While government members have said that much needed workers in sectors such as the health system will not be targeted, the 60,000 or so student permissions for those coming from abroad in an area the government is looking at, particularly in respect of the English language schools. It's a concern, it's a big issue, it's ongoing, and they're not going to resolve the problem whatsoever. So I will upload more content in regards to what's happening now in our system. So please like, subscribe, and please click on that link and follow. Thank you very much.